Hey, welcome to Mad English TV. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to write an essay. Now, I'm going to give you a template that you can use to write any essay on any topic. It's really easy. Okay, we're going to have 5 paragraphs. Our first paragraph is going to be the introduction, and then we're going to have our 3 arguments. And then our last paragraph is going to be the conclusion. Okay, now very often when you take an English exam, there's going to be an essay question, right? The instructions might be something like this. Answer the following question in 300 words. You have 1 hour to complete the essay. Okay, so how do you know how long 300 words is? Are you going to count all of your words after you're done? No, you don't have enough time to count all the words. You need to know before you start writing about how many sentences you need in the essay, okay? And I'm going to make it easy for you. If you want to write a 200 to 300 word essay, you're going to need about 3 or 4 sentences per paragraph, okay? So you can just think, okay, I need 3 or 4 sentences for every paragraph, and then you can sort of visualize what it's going to look like. Okay, and if you have 5 or 6 sentences per paragraph, then it'll be about 400 to 500 words. Okay, so let's imagine that we're writing a 300 word essay. We can just think, okay, my introduction is going to have about 4 sentences, and then I'm going to need another 4. So what's going to go in each of those sentences? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? I'm going to make it really easy for you so that you don't even have to think. You can just go to the exam and you know exactly what the purpose of each sentence is. Okay, so here's our introduction. Our first sentence is going to grab attention. Okay, you want to grab the reader's attention. Maybe if they're interested in the topic, they're going to read the whole thing. If it doesn't grab their attention, then they're going to move on to something else because it's too boring, right? So our second and maybe third sentence is going to introduce the topic a little bit, okay? And then we have our thesis statement. That's going to be our last sentence in the introduction. Okay, now this is the most important sentence in the whole essay because it gives the essay its structure. Okay, if you have a good thesis sentence, then you'll know exactly what you're going to write about. Okay, it gives everything a place in the essay. Okay, so let's say, for example, your thesis statement was, I don't think children below the age of 15 should be allowed to use cell phones because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Okay, you've just said that you don't think kids below age 15 should be allowed to use cell phones. Now you're giving your reasons, okay? And then we can move into the next paragraph and we can start. So our first reason, boom. What is it? What's the reason? Our topic sentence or our argument, okay? Then we're going to give some examples in the second sentence. And then over here, we're going to explain why the examples defend this argument or why they support this argument here. Okay, and then we're finished this paragraph. That's our second paragraph, we're done. Now we're gonna move to the third paragraph or our second point. Now this is just like the first paragraph, except in your first sentence, you need some transition words, okay? You need something that goes from here to here. You can't just be talking about one thing and then suddenly start talking about another thing. Then the reader gets a little bit confused as to how it fits. Okay, that's why transition words and transition sentences are really important. Okay, so our first sentence is going to have some sort of transition and it's going to say what our argument or our topic is for this paragraph. Then we're going to give examples and then why the examples support the argument, okay? And then our third point is going to be exactly the same. How do we transition from the second point to the third point? We're going to give our arguments, examples, and our support. Okay, then our last paragraph in the essay is going to be very similar to the introduction, okay, except you're going to start by rewording the thesis, okay? That means you say the thesis in some different words. Think of a different way to say it, okay? And then you're going to summarize your main points, the 3 points, why they are important or whatever, and then the last sentence in the essay is going to be a good ending. Okay, so you want your conclusion to end on a very good note that leaves the reader or the teacher very happy, okay? If the essay starts well and it ends well and you have 3 good points in the middle, you're gonna get a really good grade, okay? So let's take a look at how to do this. So here's our instructions. Answer the following question in 300 words. You have 1 hour to complete the essay. Okay, so here's our question. The internet is full of free resources for learning English. One of these resources is a video hosting platform called YouTube. A new channel has emerged called Mad English TV. Some learners find this channel helpful, but it may not be suitable for all learners. Should English learners use this resource to improve their language skills, or should they go elsewhere to meet their needs? Okay, this is just a classic kind of question on the exams that you'll probably be doing. You know, maybe you have to write an exam to go to another country to get a job, or maybe you have to write an exam to get into university or something. You're going to have questions like this. It's going to give you some information, and then it's going to ask the question, what do you think? And you need to write your opinion, okay? So now we need to think, what's our opinion going to be? That's the first thing you need to think of. So is Mad English TV a good place to learn English, or is it not really a good place? Let's say it's not. Okay, that's your opinion. It's not a good place to learn English. So here's your opinion. English learners should not use Mad English TV. They should go somewhere else. Okay, now we need to think of 3 ways to defend this opinion. Okay, how are we going to support this opinion? Okay, so you need to ask yourself, how can I defend that opinion? What are the 3 ways? Okay, so you do some brainstorming. Let's see, well, in some of the videos on Mad English TV, Mark uses some swear words. Okay, so that might not be appropriate for all the viewers, like children, okay? So that's your first defense. That's your going to be the first part of your thesis, the first reason, okay? The language is inappropriate. Then you think, what else could I say? Well, maybe Mark talks too fast in his lessons, okay? So the talking speed is unsuitable for some learners. Okay, now we need another point. What should another point be? Maybe the topics aren't really relevant to my life. Maybe the topics are just weird, okay? So then there's our third point. Topics are inapplicable to my life. Okay, there's right there. We have 3 good points, okay? Now you're ready to write the thesis, okay? So let's try to write the thesis here. So Mad English TV is a bad place to learn English because the language is inappropriate, the talking speed is unsuitable, and the topics are inapplicable to most students. Okay, there we have the opinion, and we have the points that you're going to talk about in the essay, okay? So one problem I would like to mention with this is it's a little bit strong. English teachers, when they're reading essays, they sometimes don't like seeing really strong opinions like this is bad. Okay, it's better to make it a little bit softer. So here's how you can make it a bit softer, okay? Mad English TV is not the best place to learn English because the language is inappropriate, the talking speed is unsuitable, and the topics are inapplicable to most students. Okay, this is much better. It's much easier to defend, because if you just say, this is bad, or I don't like that, or, that's a little bit too strong, it's better to use words that are more diplomatic and a little bit softer, okay? So, you have 1 hour. Now, how are you going to divide your time? This is really important, because if you don't use your time very well, you're not going to finish. And if you don't finish, that's really bad, okay? You need to finish the essay. That's why it's good to have this template in your mind, so that you can just go to the exam, you see it, what the question is, and then boom, 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 you can just put it right in there, okay? So, here's how I would divide the time if I were you, okay? You should spend about 10 minutes brainstorming and writing your thesis. Okay, so you think, what's my opinion going to be? It really doesn't matter what your opinion is. As long as you say your opinion and you can defend it, the teacher doesn't really care. Okay, if someone's marking this paper, they don't care whether you like Mad English TV or you don't, as long as you can defend it with good examples and good reasons. Okay, so make sure you think about some ideas and which one is going to be easier to defend, or which one's going to be better. So, you've done your brainstorming and you've sort of got your thesis, your 3 points, and maybe you've thought about some ideas that you're going to write for each point. Okay, then you can actually start writing. So then you start writing your introduction, like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and you have your hour, and then you're done. Okay, that's a good way to make sure you're going to start and finish, and you're not going to get stuck halfway and start having to think, where am I going with this paper? Okay, this way you know exactly what you're going to write, you write it, and then you're done. Okay, so let's actually start to write the introduction here. Okay, here's our introduction paragraph. English learners today have countless resources to choose from online. Choosing the right resource can be difficult for many students. Some of these students have chosen to learn English on Mad English TV, which is a YouTube channel created by a Canadian English teacher named Mark. Although the channel is gaining in popularity, it may not be the best place for learners to invest their time because of the following reasons. The content is inappropriate for many people. Mark's talking speed is unsuitable for beginner levels. And the lesson topics are simply inapplicable to many learners. Okay, so there's our introduction. What do we have here? We have our first sentence that sort of grabs people's attention. English learners today have countless resources to choose from online. Okay, so if someone is interested in learning English and about online stuff, then this will say, okay, this paper might be relevant to my life. I'm going to read it. Okay, so we have our first sentence, and then we have 2 sentences that sort of introduce the topic a little bit more. Choosing the right resource can be difficult for many students. Some of these students have chosen to learn on Mad English TV, which is a YouTube channel. Okay, it's explaining what this is, what Mad English TV is, and then we have our thesis sentence. Now we can go straight into our second paragraph, and what are we going to start with? We're going to start with the content is inappropriate for many people. That's our first reason, okay? So, here we go. The language Mark uses in some of his lessons is inappropriate for many viewers. Okay, there we have our topic sentence or our argument for this paragraph. For example, in his video entitled "What is Rap?", he explains several rap songs that have violence, sexual content, foul language, and drug references. Okay, there's our example. Now, many parents would not want their children to learn about that type of content. Even many adults would not be interested to learn about content that is considered offensive in English. Okay, so here we have our support for why this example defends our argument up here. Okay, so we have our argument, our example, and then our support, why this supports that argument, okay? Now we have our second point. Now remember, here we need a transition word or some transition phrases to go from the first point to the second point, okay? So in addition to his offensive content, Mark's talking speed is entirely unsuitable for beginner English learners. Okay, so here we have our transition. In addition to his offensive content, which is the first point, Mark's talking speed is entirely unsuitable for beginner learners. Good, and then here we have our example. For example, in his lesson entitled Rant, he speaks very fast as if he's talking to a native speaker. Beginners need a teacher to speak slowly to them so they can understand everything that is being said. Mark simply talks too fast for beginners to understand. Okay, example and why this example supports this argument. Okay, then we have our third paragraph. Okay, so we could start it this way. A third reason why Mad English TV is not the best resource for English learners is that many of the lesson topics are inapplicable to a person's life. Okay, so here we have our transition. A third reason, it lets people know that there's a break. Okay, we're not still talking about the second reason. Now we're talking about our third point. Okay, third reason, and remember, we have our indent. At the beginning of every paragraph, the first line is moved over a little bit. Look there, it's moved over. So that's really important too. That gives the essay a good structure. Then people can see there's a space and an indent. That means, okay, the next paragraph is starting. It's going to be a different topic. Okay, so here we have our argument, right? And then we need our example. Okay, for example, Mark's lesson on the water cycle appears to be more of a science lesson than an English lesson. Most English learners would rather learn practical skills such as ordering a hamburger or passing a job interview. Okay, so again, here we have our claim, here we have our example, why this example supports the claim. All right, then we have our conclusion. All right, so our last paragraph in the essay. Mad English TV may not be the best place for students to learn because of its inappropriate content, unsuitable talking speed, and inapplicable themes. Okay, so we have our thesis statement just said in different words, right? So it's basically the same thing, it's just a little bit different, okay? We start with that, and then we're going to summarize each of the 3 points, okay? What were the 3 points talking about? So the foul language in some lessons is not appropriate for some learners, such as children. The talking speed is unsuitable for beginner learners, and the themes are sometimes too bizarre for average students to apply to their lives. Okay, there we have our sort of summary of the 3 points. Then, how are we going to end it? This is really important that we end with a good sentence here. So, given all the great options for English education online today, students are better off finding other places to learn English. Great. Okay, that's a good ending. Now you'll notice this last sentence is very similar to the first sentence of the essay. Look at this. How did it start? English learners today have countless resources to choose from online. Now look at the last sentence here. Given all the great options for learning English or for English education online today, students are better off finding other places to learn English. Okay? So you'll notice it sort of starts and it ends with the same sort of a thing, and we have our thesis statement that's really important, and our 3 points are the 3 points in the thesis. Okay, so it's really easy, and here's a look at the whole thing. Okay, now this is good. If a teacher sees this, they're going to be happy because we have 5 clear paragraphs, an introduction, 3 points, we have an end, we have a thesis. They're going to be happy. You know, a huge mistake people make when they write essays is the structure. It's all just one big paragraph, and the teacher doesn't know, okay, what are his reasons? When is this thought ending and this thought beginning? It's just really confusing to read. But if a teacher sees this, that's really, they're going to be relaxed and they're going to give you a much better grade if you have really good structure. Okay, so let's do some homework. I am not going to make you write a full essay, but I'm going to make you write a thesis statement, okay? So here's the question. Should children under the age of 12 be allowed to use smartphones? Okay, think about it and write one sentence, which is going to be your thesis sentence. I want you to have 3 points, okay? So you might say, children under the age of 12 should be allowed to use smartphones because boom, boom, boom. 3 reasons. Or children under the age of 12 should not be allowed to use smartphones because 1, 2, 3. Okay, so post your homework down there in the comments and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.